I loved the X-Men, and I loved the way Kirby did them. You know, the idea, I don't know if you remember the first issue in the Danger Room, that was Jack's idea. And what a great way of beginning a series
Right.
to show them in the Danger Room. We didn't mean for it to be a second-tier book at all.
Right.
And it did well, the first few issues. In fact, I don't know if I told you the story about the name the X-Men. I wanted to call it the Mutants. Went to my publisher. He said, "You cannot call it the Mutants. Nobody knows what a mutant is." Okay, he was the boss. So I realized they had extra power. I was going to call their leader Professor Xavier X. So I figured I'll call him the X-Men.
Right.
So I said that to the publisher. He said, "That's fine." And I thought to myself, I'll never understand top-level thinking. If nobody is going to know what a mutant is,
Right.
how will anybody know what an X-Man is?
Right.
But I had a title, and I wasn't going to muddy the
the boat at
waters.
that point.
Yeah,
Right.
I loved the series. But after Jack and I did the first few, I don't remember how many, 4, 5, 10, I don't know. We both got busy with other things.
Right.
And I had to drop something.
Right.
And the reason I dropped the X-Men, and Jack went off it, not because we thought it was less of a strip,
Right.
but there were so many characters it took a little longer to write.
Right,
So
right.
I just gave it up because it was the toughest one to do
Right.
of all of them. And then other people took it over. In the beginning, the sales dropped when we left the book.
Right.
But then, as you said, when Chris Claremont and John Byrne and all the people who took it on later took it over, because basically it was a solid strip,
Right.
sales started to really rise.
So you are the father of mutants in the Marvel universe. I mean, but
Yeah. And that was done out of laziness. Again, as I mentioned, when you do superheroes, you have to say how they get their power.
Right.
Well, I was bored with cosmic rays and gamma rays and radioactivity, and I was running out of things. And I figured, what if they're just mutants?
Right.
I don't have to explain anything. We know there are mutants in the
Right.
world. There are mutant vegetables, mutant trees, frogs. Okay, they're born mutants. That gets me off the hook. I can then do whatever I want. So it was done, really. It was a cop-out.
It's so fun, and it gives birth to years of continuity
Yeah.
and legend and mythos. And
But look
it
how
just
easy
comes from
it
a guy
is.
who's just like, I don't know, the guy who got red coming out of his eyes. Who knows?
That's right. But look how easy it is. You want somebody who can walk through walls? He was born that way. He's a mutant.
Nice. I guess a Fantastic Four movie now in the works, like
Yeah.
a big budget, huge effort.
Yeah.
Kind of like the X-Men as well.
It'll be a big one, and the same with the Silver Surfer.
As I understand, is one of your favorite
Oh, yeah.
creations. Why?
Well, you can tell by talking to me, I'm very deep and
Yes.
very philosophical.
Yes, yes.
But the Silver Surfer allowed me to get a lot of my corny philosophical points across through
Right.
his dialogue. I always could have him saying things like you remember he's from another planet and he comes along and
Right.
soars over Earth looking down, and what's wrong with these Earthlings? They have a planet that should be paradise. It's the Garden of Eden. It has everything. Clean air, good food, oceans, land, whatever you could want. And yet they fight and have crimes. They hate each other, and what's wrong? Are they insane? All the things that I think about, and I think most people think about.
Right.
I was able to let him voice those things. And there's another thing, because he's from another planet, I was able to write his dialogue differently. His English it was perfect, but it wasn't perfect the way you or I would speak.
Right.
And I love that about Dr. Doom. I had him speaking in a more highfalutin
Very
kind
regal.
of way. And I love writing different kind of dialogues, like with Thor.
Thor's is
I
very-
tried to combine him with the Bible and Shakespeare when he talked, and Doctor Strange with his incantations.
Right.
To me, dialogue is so interesting and so much fun to write.
Iron Man was a character who later on in comics
Yeah.
had a drinking
We
problem.
made him a drunkard, an alcoholic. We thought that was a good thing to do. And I didn't write those stories,
Right,
but
right,
I
right.
loved the fact that we did it,
Right.
and I was all for it, and it was done very well, too.
But you created Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
Where does that come from?
Being a little bit of a rebel. In those days, young people were very much against war, against the establishment. So I said, just for fun, I'm going to get a character who's a multimillionaire and who manufactures war material,
Right,
you know,
munitions.
armaments.
Right.
And I'm going to make him likable somehow.
Right.
And I kind of based him on Howard Hughes in a way. Just came up with Tony Stark. Now, again, in order to make the character empathetic, and they all have to have a weakness of some sort.
Right.
I gave him a weak heart. He never knows when his heart will conk out on him.
Right.
So he's afraid to have a serious relationship with a girl, which made it easy to write stories with different girls.
Right.
Would have made a great TV series. There could be a different girl in every episode. So, and then he had his iron armor. Now, because he was so rich, I had, and again, in trying to make all our characters somehow come together, mingle, when we had the Avengers, I had them use his mansion on Fifth Avenue as their headquarters. I like Tony Stark. He was one of the few characters, his name didn't begin with the same first letter and last letter, and I don't know how I blew it there. I must have been careless.
But a character whose name did begin with the first letter and last letter, Bruce Banner.
Oh yeah, the Hulk.
Now, during the run of the very successful TV show during the mid to late 70s, they called him David Banner on the show, as opposed to Bruce Banner in the comics. Why?
I hate to say it. It's so
Go ahead.
stupid.
It's a great story.
Stupid.
I
It
know,
is
but it's-
so stupid.
I know, but it's perfect Hollywood.
And it's also perfect network thinking.
Yes.
His name was Bruce Banner.
Yes.
And when they start doing the show, I see in the script they have him called David Banner. So I called whoever it is you call at the network, and I said, hey, you guys, there's a typo there. You wrote the wrong name. No, it's intentional. Well, why did you change his name from Bruce to David? Well, Bruce sounds too homosexual. I mean, there you go.
The Hulk was gay, essentially. Astounding. So there's no pull to just be like, look, call him what he was.
Well, what we did, I had them, as a sop to my feelings,
Right.
they called him David Bruce Banner,
Yes.
but they referred to him as David all the time.
Right.
But Bruce was his middle name.
And now they're going to turn that into a big screen franchise
Oh,
as well with
that'll
Ang Lee.
be wonderful.
guy that
That'll
did
be wonderful
Crouching Tiger.
with Ang Lee, yeah.
And now it's also, you're talking about when they did the show, they threw the makeup on Lou Ferrigno, and now they can create
Yeah.
the Hulk as he should be realized as a huge monster with CG. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
got to be great for you to sit back and watch movies now where they can actually realize all the things you created so long ago. Visually realize them.
You know, it's a funny thing, though, when I watch them, I forget that I was involved in them. I just watch them and enjoy them. You know?
Right.
Wow, it's clever the way they did that. Wow, that's terrific. You know, I'm just one of the fans, really. But as I told you, I'm a big fan of me.
Exactly.